welcome to this live severe weather update. We have a lot going on. We were just live a minute ago, but we were booting up our live weather channel, and we were just trying to get this out there. We have 2 tornado warnings for the area, and looking to see if this stream is having any sort of problems here. So thank you for tuning in to the live weather update. Again, we have 2 tornado warnings ongoing in the area. I think our stream's having some issues, so bear with us real quick. Alright, so here's what we got going on. We have 2 tornado warnings, one for Montague County and one for Jack County. So we have these things that are still kind of chugging along to the east. These are mostly going east instead of northeast as it's looking at the moment. And this one's moving at 20 miles an hour in Jacksboro. And then the one in Fruitland, this one is still there. We're watching it. It's not as defined as it was earlier, but it's something we need to be watching very, very carefully. But the one that is in Jacksboro, or Jack County, excuse me, that one is still looking rather concerning. Let's go, what? Okay, so we're looking from the Fort Worth site. So the radar is still showing a rather impressive hook feature, kind of trying to hold on with this one, and that's why we're watching this one very carefully, is because that one has been showing a rather impressive signature off and on here. So we're going to try and also look and see if we can get any sort of reports going on with this storm, but so far no reports, but it is a very, very dangerous storm nonetheless. So let's see. And let's try to see if we can get our tornado rotation tool. And yeah, that one is still pretty concerning. So just to the south of Cundiff, we're seeing this storm. And we're going to boot up real quick some tool just to show you what exactly we're looking at. We're looking at our rotation indicator, if you will. And let's see if we can get that up here on screen. But in the meantime, let's go to this radar product while we are doing that, and let's look at the velocity with this one. And it's still there, it's still apparent. Let's actually look at the core with it, and it wouldn't surprise me if there is some 1-inch hail, maybe even half dollar sized hail with this storm. And another thing that we're watching is a storm just to the west of that one. That one's going to be probably the next one that we're watching. It looks like it's maturing, and this one is definitely showing signs that its core is coming up, potentially approaching severe levels. And in fact, if this one merges with this one also could become tornadic here in the next little bit. So there's no tornado warning here for Jack County, but with that intensifying core there, Jacksboro needs to be alert for another severe storm at the least. So we're watching that. And let's go to our radar rotation tracker here. And I'm going to see if that actually boots up. So I'm guessing that that's not going to boot up. So let's go back to this, and we'll zoom in once again. This one, if you are in Chico, you need to be getting ready for shelter here pretty shortly, just because this one could be moving into your area very shortly. And in fact, I think this one's going to continue to kind of move in that direction. So heads up to the community of Chico, and we have quite a bit going on, and new lower level lock here. So that one might be almost on the ground if it's not already. So we could have likely potentially an ongoing tornado with that storm. So we need to be watching that very carefully. So make sure that if you're in Chico, if you're south of Cundiff, you need to be in shelter immediately. Again, radar showing a lower level lock. That's something that we're going to be watching closely. So let's see, also looking in the comments to see if anyone's seen anything with this on any sort of chaser feeds or anything like that. We're not going to be able to show any sort of chaser feeds on this just because we don't have the rights to view or to share their videos here. Also, we have quite a bit of tornadic activity to the north in Oklahoma City as well. So busy day all around, but two very concerning potential tornadoes may have occurred earlier. One storm is still showing signs of strong rotation, and there we go. Let's go back to our reflectivity, and folks, that is very, very concerning. I don't say this to overhype it, but you don't typically see signatures like this all that often. If this is not producing a tornado, it is going to produce a tornado here very shortly. That is a very concerning radar signature occurring there just to the south of Cundiff, and this is moving towards the community of Chico. Chico, you're not in a warning right now, but you need to be getting ready for shelter. This one's going to be moving into your area pretty shortly, and this one, like I said, this one's been pretty concerning. We're going to send out an update here to the app real quick. There we go. Okay, so new severe thunderstorm warnings are also coming out for parts of the area here too shortly. In fact, there they are. They're getting issued now. So we have a bunch going on right now. Because we have so much, there's not going to be really social media alerts manually from us. There's going to be alerts definitely posted to the app. So if you're tuning in to the app, you're going to get alerts here on the app too. We're keeping a very close eye on these. We'll actually show you that new severe thunderstorm warning is for the rest of southeastern Montague County, pretty much where that storm is tracking through. And it looks like the National Weather Service went ahead and they're just going to issue for wind and hail. There's no tornado possible tag with that, so that one has decreased. Let's see. That one has decreased pretty good. So that one has decreased pretty well. Still watching that one, but the strongest storm at the moment is definitely this one near Cundiff. And I tell you what, just with that signature kind of breaking off, we need to be looking. That is still very, very concerning. That could be a tornado trying to occur if it's already not occurring at the moment. So like I said, there's no confirmation, but we need to be treating this as if it was a confirmed tornado. I also want to point out, look at how this one is wrapping around further to the west. That one is coming together pretty good, and that is going to be our next potential tornadic storm in the next hour. So Jacksboro, get ready. There's no tornado warning, there's no severe thunderstorm warning, but notice how this one's wrapping around, and it's in a very favorable environment that we need to be watching. In fact, it has just a little bit of rotation with it now. It's not strong enough to produce right now, but given the conditions and where it's at, this one's going to be our next storm down the line that we're going to be watching. But right now, the only tornado warning that we have is for this one south of Cundiff, and this one's going to be moving towards the community of Chico here over the next little bit. So we have this ongoing, and we're going to actually check and see if we have anything occurring. Yeah, and we're already starting to see just a little bit of rotation kind of developing with that one to the southwest of this one. So we're going to be watching that one. Again, it's not tornadic right now, but it is coming together. It's shaping together to be pretty much the next storm down the line. Because notice how it's starting to wrap around. It's starting to have that sink drain look to it. And the reflectivity is starting to kind of turn, if you will, with that. And we do have a quite strong core with it as well. So this one, like I said, this one's going to be the next one that we're watching here to the west of Jacksboro. So just a heads up to the community of Jacksboro, this one could be the next storm that reaches strong severe limits over the next, let's say, over the next half hour or so, as this one is basically coming together pretty quickly. Gonna check our rotation tools here. Let's go back to velocity here, and let's zoom in. And this one is still fairly significant. It's not as bright as it was just a little bit ago, so it may have produced just a minute ago. If it were to have produced, let's actually look at the signature. Looks like it's starting to occlude again. So this one's been going through cycles, and in fact, it might be having a tough time since this one to the west is basically connected. So we'll be watching this, but if you're in Chico, if this one recycles again, this one's going to be in that area here shortly. So you need to be watching this very, very carefully. And like I said, the one to the west is also something we're going to be watching very carefully. And let's take a look at our debris tracker here real quick. Let's go to the CC. This is what we call correlation coefficient. And we're going to be looking for any sort of negative signature. And unfortunately, there's such a sloppy signature that that's not probably going to be that good of a signature with this. Let's actually line this up. Oh, that one's so close. That may have been... Notice how it turned blue just for a second and then it kind of goes away. The problem with this is we're looking so far out that there's kind of a sloppy signature with it, but just given the conditions, and I'm going to put this into kind of a two-windowed mode, if you will. Let's put this one in CC, and let's show you kind of where the rotation lined up with it. That may have briefly produced a tornado right in here where we see that negative CC drop. So, folks, again, this is a very, very dangerous storm. This one may have produced a tornado here just a minute ago. Let's see if I can get this back. There we go. So, again, we haven't had any sort of confirmation, but just given the signature, this one is pretty concerning. And I do want to go back to our rotation tracker here. This one to the west is coming together pretty quickly too. And we've been saying this for the last little bit. If you're in North Jacksboro or the city of Jacksboro, you need to be in a position that you're watching this very carefully, especially because this is going to be 1-inch hail, but this one might be the next storm. It may not produce over you, but it might be closer to the community of Cundiff down the line. And we, in fact, actually have a new tornado warning, and this one's for the community of Chico. We've also been calling that out. This is moving east at 15 miles an hour. So if you're in the community of Chico, Lake Bridgeport, North Lake Bridgeport, these communities here, you're under the gun for this potential tornado that may have occurred just a short time ago, and this is in effect until 8:15. So again, tornado warning in effect 8:15, and this is for Wise County. So you need to be watching that one if you're in the community of Chico, and you need to be in shelter now. With this, it may have actually produced a tornado back just south of the community of Cundiff. let's go back to this real quick. And again, if you're just now tuning in, we have one severe thunderstorm warning from Montague County, and we have 2 tornado warnings within the coverage area. And I'm going to continue to kind of harp on this and just remind viewers, we were one of the only ones here in North Texas saying that these storms were going to be bad here in North Texas if they were able to overcome the cap, and we thought there was going to be more activity closer to our metro coverage counties today because of what the models were indicating. There were several outlets that were calling for almost no activity because the models weren't showing it with a couple of them. But we were calling for these just because we thought that the ingredients, there was some stability further to the north of us, and there's a lot of instability here in North Texas, and the models were starting to pull that activity further and further south into the metro. And we have quite a bit of energy. If you were watching just a little bit ago, we had almost 4,000. We had almost 4,000 CAPE here in North Texas. And if you're not sure what I mean by that, CAPE is the energy needed to fuel storms. And typically, the base level of CAPE that is sufficient for severe weather activity is between 900 to 1,000. We're almost quadruple that here this evening. So there's a lot of energy. Of course, we have a triggering mechanism activating these storms into developing, and these have pretty much broken through that cap because there's nothing stopping these. And right now we have numerous warnings across our northwestern counties. This does not include the Metroplex. In fact, I'm going to zoom out. So if you're watching from Dallas, and you're wondering, is this going to move into my area? This one, if it holds together, would eventually move closer to Cook and Denton counties. But right now, Cook and Denton counties are not in a warning. Cook County is going to eventually be here in a warning here shortly, just because that one in Montague is going to eventually move further to the east-northeast. But right now, the most concerning storm is this one south of Cundiff making its way towards Chico. This one's recycling, and if it hasn't already produced a tornado is imminent, especially because we're seeing these rotation areas. This one's evolving and it's going through stages. So we're going to see this area where it will occlude on itself, and then a new mesocyclone will come back around and it will kind of take over and be the dominant area of rotation, and then that one will kind of occlude, and then a new mesocyclone will come around and replace it. That's what's happened with this a couple of times already. Also, we need to be watching this one. I've been talking about this one a lot. I know there's no warning for it right at the moment. No tornado warnings or severe thunderstorm warnings. But this one looks also fairly concerning. In fact, a new severe thunderstorm warning I would think would be coming out for this one just because that one's core is pretty good. This one will be eventually the next supercell we'll have to watch that could eventually be strong to severe or maybe tornadic in the next half hour. So that one's what we're watching. But right now, the main concern is this one moving into the community of Chico here shortly. And rotation is still strong. It's kind of occluding in it. And what I mean by occluding is look at the rotation. Look at how the over the last half hour, kind of how these little hook areas, they jump out, then they wrap back in. And a new hook is forming down here to the south. And this one is south of Highway 1018, and this one is going to be the new area of rotation that we're watching. This one's going to be moving into Chico here shortly. So we're watching that very carefully, and if you're in Chico, you need to be in shelter immediately just because, like we said, this one's going to be very, very close to producing a tornado if it hasn't already produced already. So we're keeping a very close eye on this one. And then the next storm down the line, again, we're watching that one just to the west of Jacksboro, and then we have this storm south of St. Joe. And this one could be producing large damaging hail and damaging winds. In fact, it does not actually look as intense as it was earlier. But we're starting to notice it has just a little bit of that look to it still, that it could recycle back up to severe limits if it's on the weaker side right now. So not necessarily tornadic, but this one could be severe and remain severe, and it could be recycling right now. But right now, the biggest concern, of course, is this storm that is moving out of Jack County into Wise County, and then the one to the west of that one, which could be the next one down the line. In fact, that one to the west, we're looking at our rotation tracker. That one's starting to rotate. That one we're going to need to be watching very carefully just because that one looks like it's starting to at least try and get a hook feature to it. It's not quite your classic supercell, but this one's going to be the one to watch, folks. And I keep talking about this one. I keep mentioning it, but Jack Sparrow needs to be watching this because this one could be eventually the next one down the line. Okay, so now we have a TVS kind of with this one, and what we mean by TVS is this is a tornado vortex signature, and it's not the highest that we've seen. The highest that we've seen personally with this is about a 15, so we're at a 2. So that means that there could be a tornado trying to develop right here. Again, south of Cundiff and 1018, and this is moving towards the community of Chico. In addition to that, we have a new severe thunderstorm warning for that storm that I was mentioning. That could be our next storm down the line. This one, folks, I'm telling you, this one we're going to need to watch very carefully. This one is reaching severe limits now, and this one is going to be in its own environment as well. Notice how it's starting to bend, and we have an area of rotation. It's not strong rotation, but again, these came up pretty quickly too. So again, not an immediate tornado threat with this one in Jacksboro, but this one's going to be the next one down the line. And let's see when that warning was issued until. This one is in effect until 8:45. And I want to see if they put any additional tags. Okay, no additional tags. Okay, so let's go back to this, and we just sent out a notification to the app. So if you have the app downloaded, you're going to get that here shortly. If you don't have the app downloaded, we highly recommend that you download that app because we are going to be sending out these alerts throughout the evening. And yeah, that rotation with the one further to the west continues to increase. So this one we're watching very carefully. In fact, it's actually starting to get more of a hook feature to it. So, like I said, this one we've been talking about this one for a while now. Again, there is an imminent tornado threat moving into the community of Chico, but if you're in Jacksboro, there's no tornado warning now. But this one we're watching very, very carefully. Further to the west near the community of Jacksboro. Yeah, and this one I'm gonna be saying, Jacksboro, get ready to seek shelter here in the next little bit. This rotation is coming up pretty quickly. But Jacksboro, like we've been saying this for a while now, there is an imminent tornado threat with this one near Cundiff. There's not right now a tornado warning for Jacksboro, but this one, we're looking at some radar sources off to the side here, and that one looks really, really concerning. And this one has incredible inflow basically feeding into it right now. And we're going to be watching this very carefully. But like I said, you need to be seeking shelter immediately in the Cundiff area. And you need to be getting ready to seek shelter here in the Jacksboro area. So we're gonna post something to social media real quick just because we have seen this. But there's two areas right now, one with a tornado warning And the other one, there is not a tornado warning. That's near Jacksboro. But that one, this is an early heads up for this, that this one is going to be our next storm of the day. So let's go back to the one in Cundiff real quick, and not to confuse this, but there's still strong rotation with this one. This one's south of 10 or 1810. And the next one that's coming up, no tornado warning. This one's approaching Highway 148, north side of Jacksboro. We know that Jacksboro had a warning here shortly. We know that it's scary when there's tornadoes and stuff. There's no tornado warning, but that one is going to be the next area that we're going to be watching over the next couple of minutes. So we're going to post something to our social media here real quick. But if you're not sure what to do in the event of a tornado, go to our website and go to our free mobile app for our weather safety tools. It's weather225.com or weather225 in the App Store. In the meantime, seek shelter on the lowest floor of a sturdy building in an interior bathroom or closet. That is a sturdy building. If you're in a mobile home, that won't do it. Trailer won't do it. RV won't do it. You need to be in shelter in a sturdy building. Interior hallway, bathroom, closet, centermost room away from doors and windows, and you need to be on the lowest floor. That's what we're watching very carefully. Again, that potential tornado trying to develop just west of the community of Chico. And then a new area of rotation that we've been watching for a little bit that is just north of Jacksboro. Okay, so that update was just sent out here. Okay, so that's what we've got going on. I apologize for kind of that brief break in the audio. We're trying to post these things out to our app and trying to let's go to the reflectivity, and it's still there. It's still apparent. It's not as well defined, but I will say that rotation is coming up pretty quickly. So if anything, that one is showing at least signs of large hail in addition to that potential tornado risk. Radar is indicating about 1-inch hail, and that would not surprise me if 1-inch hail is likely occurring, especially because when you get these areas of rotation, that's also an indication that there's strong updrafts occurring. We need to go back to this one near Cundiff, and it looks like there is strong rotation now, kind of re-energizing just to the west of Chico. And in fact, we almost have two areas right now. It looks like we have two areas of rotation, actually. One to the southwest of Chico, and then one to the west of that first area of rotation. And you can actually kind of see it here with this first area right here, and then it looks like the new mesocyclone might be coming around here just to the west of that initial rotation. So we're watching that. It doesn't mean that there's two tornadoes, but it means that there's two areas of spin because this one is recycling. That one, again, if you're in Chico, you need to be in shelter immediately. Again, it's moving slowly, I know, but you need to be in shelter just because this is a very concerning and very dangerous storm moving into that area. So we're watching that one very carefully. Let's actually check our debris tracker Okay, nothing there. It will zoom out and we'll show you what's going on here in North Texas. If you're in DFW and you're wondering, well, where exactly is this occurring? It's not in the immediate Dallas, Fort Worth coverage area counties. And by that I mean Tarrant, Denton, Collin, and Dallas counties are our 4 DFW counties. The rest, at least how we see it, is North Texas. One thing that we are going to have to be watching is notice near Eastland, we have additional cells firing up to the west. We have additional cells firing up in Palo Pinto County near the community of Mineral Wells. This is what's going to be our next areas of development. It doesn't mean that these are going to be severe tornadic, but the models were indicating that we're going to get a line of cells trying to fire up. They're going to be individual, and they're going to try and get going. Not all of them are going to, like I said, be strong to severe, but that's just something we're going to be watching, especially because this one near Salesville is starting to get a little bit of a hail core to it. We'll check that there. And again, it's not intense. It's not severe. It's nowhere near severe. But that one's coming up pretty quickly. That will be moving into the tornado watch environment here just over the next little bit. So that's something that we're going to be watching. Let's see. And let's zoom out actually and show you this one near Jacksboro. That one near Jacksboro, that little hook is starting to strengthen pretty quickly. I'm going to go back to this real quick and just show you. We're starting to see those reds and greens coming together, and the hook feature is starting to be more defined here too. It wouldn't surprise me if this one eventually starts to reach severe levels here pretty quickly, or it actually is severe, so I apologize for that. This one's going to be approaching potentially tornadic levels here shortly, just because that hook feature, it's starting to come up better than it was. And we'll show you that area of rotation. You can notice it. The one just to the southwest of Chico, notice those greens and reds coming together. Well, we have another area, and this one is just to the north of Jacksboro. So no tornado warning right now. We don't have anything like that. But this one is looking more and more impressive each scan. And we're looking off to another tool here on another computer. And the rotation with that one is coming up pretty quickly. So let's see. Also trying to see if any sort of pictures. There's a ton of chasers out today, so it wouldn't surprise me if anyone's out on these. But I'm looking to see if anyone just so happens to see any sort of views on these. Getting a lot of photos out of Oklahoma, of course. Okay, so we're going to be going back to this one here, and we're looking off to another screen here, just off of the monitor, and that one in Jacksboro, this one's going to be the next rotating storm, for sure. In fact, we're looking off onto another screen here, and we're analyzing the storm in 3D mode. And I tell you what, this one, if we look at our rotation tracker here, yeah, this one, we're starting to get a little hook to it, and starting to get a little more inflow feeding into the hook feature. So let's go to our velocity here, and that velocity is looking a little bit more impressive. So if you're in Jacksboro, just get ready to seek shelter. If a warning is go ahead and issued for that area. No tornado warning, like I said right now, but that one is probably going to become tornadic here in the next 10 minutes or so, if it continues to strengthen like it is. And we're not trying to say this to overhype this. We're not trying to overhype or, dramatize something that's not necessary. But we've been watching this one for the last 30 minutes. If you've been watching our coverage, we've been watching this one and going, that one's going to potentially do it. And right now it's strengthening to those levels. There's no tornado warning, but it wouldn't surprise me if they go ahead and put a tornado warning with that here momentarily. Not to focus on that one because there's no warning. And we're not overlooking the Chico area. That one is moving very slow, so it's not in Chico yet. But Chico, you need to be in shelter right now. Notice we have two little hook features, and the first one is the original velocity signature that we saw earlier. That was the original mesocyclone. But there's a new area forming just to the west, and we mentioned this one has two areas. This one is going to eventually or potentially wrap around and take over from that first one, but that first one's still holding on. So if you're in Chico, there is potentially an imminent tornado threat moving into that area. So you need to be watching that very closely. See, they updated, still radar indicated with both of these. So right now, there's no confirmation or visual of a tornado with this one. But like I said, we need to be treating it as if it is a tornado. So if you're in Chico, make sure that you're seeking shelter now. Lowest floor of a sturdy building, interior bathroom or closet. Cover yourself with pillows, blankets, wear hard-sole shoes. Make sure that you're seeking shelter in a sturdy building and not a mobile home, trailer, or RV, because those won't cut it. Sturdy structure is where you need to be as this storm passes into that area. So again, the community of Chico, you need to be in shelter immediately. No confirmed tornado, but this is, again, a very dangerous situation. Tornado warning for that area. And just look at this storm. There's a hook coming into the community of Chico. In fact, they're keeping the warning for both of these hook features as they're both rotating. So 2 tornado warnings, same storm. It's just that there's 2 hook features with rotation occurring. One includes the city of Cundiff. East sides of Cundiff are still at risk for, momentarily, but that storm is about to pass through that area. I want to zoom back out. We're going to go to the one near Jacksboro and notice how this hook feature is still imminent and still lingering with that storm. Again, no tornado warning with it, but notice the rotation is still there. So we're going to be watching that one still. Again, you don't need to be in shelter right now in Jacksboro, especially on the north sides, but if you are if you're at home, make sure that you're close to shelter in the event that you need to seek shelter if this one wraps back around. In fact, this one might be cycling, so it may not be immediately tornadic. But this one, it's getting close. I don't say that lightly either. This one's getting close. This one's showing just that look to it that these originally had when they were over these areas just a little bit ago. So we're going to be watching these very carefully. So just keep that in mind. Community of Chico, again, you need to be in shelter right now. Again, that area of rotation is still holding on. In fact, that one, it wouldn't surprise me if we see that actually produce. Oh boy, let's actually. I'm going to look off to another tool here, and we have a new. Okay, there we go. New tornado warning for Jack County, and this is in effect until 8:15. I'm looking to see if that was. Okay, so they're just updating that one for Cundiff. I was wondering if that was for the original. So this one in Cundiff, there's still that one continues, and so there is not a tornado warning for that other storm, but this one's continuing. So we're going to be watching that one. Still watching 2 areas of rotation. One is just to the west of Cundiff, and one is just to the west of, or one is to the east of Cundiff, excuse me. One's to the west of Chico. In addition to that, we're also watching the potential for large hail with these, and this storm has had a history of producing 1-inch hail with that. So let's go back to our reflectivity. Let's do a broad view across the area. Notice we're starting to see additional storms near Eastland and to the north and south of Mineral Wells. We're going to be watching these additional storms kind of firing up here over the next 30 minutes. And we're going to continue to watch these. If you hear that sound in the background, that is Chase, our weather dog mascot. He is having a good old time kind of just playing with his toys in the background. So if you hear that sound, that is Chase the weather dog, our mascot. Hi, buddy. So right now, again, 2 tornado warnings for basically 2 hook areas. This is not typically what you see. Every now and then you'll get a storm like this, but this one, notice it looks like it's making the peace symbol, like someone making the peace symbol with their hands. We got 2 little finger hooks right here. These are both rotating. They're both warned, but the dominant one is the one in the Wise County area just to the west of Chico. So we're going to be watching that one, like I said. But fortunately, not any sort of immediate confirmation. But that hook, notice how it's starting to wrap back around and look more of that classic supercell hook look to it. If you're in Chico, get ready, because if this recycles, it could put a tornado down pretty quickly in that area. So again, we're watching that very closely. I'm looking off to we're looking off to one of our debris trackers. And there might be. We're gonna put this into our 2-panel mode here real quick. And let's look at this. Okay, so again, it's very hard to kind of see. It's very hard to see debris from this far with the radar, but I am noticing this negative CC kind of popping up right where the hook is located. That might be, if anything, at minimum, it could be just some wind kicking up some dust, but also that could be a brief spin up that may be occurring just to the southwest of Chico. Again, we're not trying to say this to overhype it or over dramatize it. We're saying this because we're interpreting what the radar is doing. And usually when we're looking at the radar, you kind of have to put 2 and 2 together. You can't just look at a negative CC drop on the radar and say it is a tornado confirmed. You have to align it with the rotation. You have to align it with where the reflectivity is occurring. And if we go back to that 2 panel here, I'll show you where this little red box is. This is going to show you where the rotation is as it's sitting over it, and this is showing you where that that dark blue was here just a second ago. So that could be a poor reading from the radar, but also it is just within that area of rotation that we saw, and that could be a spin up. It's hard to tell, but it's better to go ahead and treat this as if it was a tornado, just to be completely safe. So let's go over that tornado safety precaution. What you want to do is, if you are in the path of a tornado, seek shelter now. Lowest floor, sturdy building, interior bathroom, closet, basement, storm shelter. Cover yourself with pillows and blankets, and stay there until the storm has passed. If you are in a mobile home, if you're in an RV or a portable home, make sure that you seek shelter elsewhere. You do not want to be in any of those options if a tornado is occurring, because that is very, very dangerous to be in those 3 options. Again, sturdy building is the best. Lowest floor, centermost room, away from doors and windows. Put as many walls between you and the outside as possible. Don't be close to windows or doors. So again, the most concerning rotation at the moment is this one near Chico. Now, the one near Jacksboro, that one has occluded. It was rotating, and then it kind of started to fizzle. That one's going to be going through cycles. So right now, that one's not as concerning as it was looking just a little bit ago. That's some good news for the community at Jacksboro. For Chico, you need to be in shelter immediately, because this one's going to be in that area here very shortly. We're talking the next 2 to 5 minutes. You need to be in shelter, and this one is starting to look more and more impressive than what it was just a little bit ago. We're looking at some other radar sources off on a different screen, and the hook to this one is looking more impressive, and we'll show you here. Notice that hook is looking more classic looking. So we're going to be watching that one. This one could be recycling, and this one could be potentially close to be putting down a tornado. And in fact, the National Weather Service issued a new tornado warning until 9 o'clock, and this one I believe goes further into Wise County. And right now it's radar indicated. There we go. It's going to be plotting here in just a second. This one takes it into Alfred, and I believe this one just barely includes west sides of Decatur, but not the immediate downtown Decatur area. And I agree with the National Weather Service just because this one's recycling and it's looking more impressive. In fact, if you're in Chico, a weather spotter just confirmed that there is a funnel cloud trying to make contact with the ground. So, just to show you just how close we are to putting down a tornado, weather spotters are reporting that they see a funnel. And funnels are typically what you see right before you make contact with the ground with a tornado. Now, keep in mind when you're looking at velocity, the rotation comes from aloft. It starts to spin aloft, and that translates all the way to the surface, and that's what we're looking for here. We've had rotation aloft. It's been spinning, but now we're starting to see that that's reaching closer and closer to the surface, and we're seeing a funnel, so that means that a tornado is imminent. So if you're in Chico, you need to be in shelter now just because funnel has been reported, and someone is seeing this. And there we go. That was just sent out. But notice also too that we're also noticing that is looking a little bit better. Radar indicated rotation. Train spotters have reported a funnel cloud. So that was what came out here just a second ago. Okay, so that was sent out, and again for the community of Chico, we've been restating this time and time again. If you're in Chico, you need to be in shelter now. Train spotters have reported a funnel cloud with this, and new report says funnel clouds plural. So I'm wondering if they're seeing one with that first area, and then they saw one with that previous area too. And again, let's see. Chico. This one is a very slow moving storm. We know, and we've been mentioning this for a while, but if you're in Chico, you need to be in shelter. This one is just about on top of Chico. So if you're in Chico, make sure that you're in shelter immediately just because, again, that is a very concerning storm with a tornado basically imminent because we have, of course, train spotters now confirming that they have seen a funnel cloud with this, or funnel clouds plural. So this one might be reorganizing and putting down funnels periodically. It may not be making immediate contact with the ground, but when you get a report of a funnel, that means that it is trying to make it to the ground. So that means that we are very, very close to seeing this making contact with the ground and causing damage. So if you're in the community of Chico, again, this is a very concerning storm. We're going to be watching. This could put down a tornado here pretty shortly. In fact, we'll have to line up this product here and check that out here in just a second. Let's look at our debris tracker. Again, it doesn't look like there's any sort of big giant debris ball or anything like that. We are noticing that there is this little area kind of broken off from the bottom of the cell. What I mean by that is it's not your typical hook. You get kind of this polka dot on the radar, if you will, this big circle area, and that is where rotation is occurring. And we're going to be watching that definitely very carefully over the next little bit. Otherwise, for the one in Montague and Cook County, that one is not severe anymore. In fact, it is almost completely gone. Just a heavy rain shower at the moment. But right now, the biggest concern, of course, is the Jack County and Wise County storm. I also want to point out the one just near Metcalf Gap. That one could be trying to produce penny-sized hail at the moment. So that's something to be watching. So we're watching that. New TVS south of Chico. Again, that is a tornado vortex signature. That's when it's showing us that there is a basically low-level lock with the rotation. And that is just to the southwest of Chico. So no confirmed tornado, but we have had confirmed reports of a funnel cloud trying to make contact with the ground. And like I said, that is usually the last step before we see a tornado making contact with the ground. And, of course, potentially causing damage. So right now we don't have it confirmed on the ground, but we need to be treating it as if it was on the ground, especially if you're in Chico, just because, like we said, this one is rotating. It has a funnel cloud confirmed with it just a little bit ago, a couple minutes ago, in fact. And when you get that, that usually means that a tornado is imminent. So we're still watching that one. New severe thunderstorm warning for Jack County. That is for 1-inch hail. Or actually, correction, they are continuing that severe thunderstorm warning as the original. They're also adding a flash flood warning, and that one does not surprise me at all. This has literally been sitting over these areas for the last hour and a half, and really, it's been a lot of rainfall. Let's look at the last hour rainfall totals, at least by radar. And this is showing almost 3 inches of rain in the last hour based off of radar. So that is very intense rainfall. Could lead to flash flooding, of course, in these areas. I'm going to look at our comments here and see if anyone's saying anything. We are live right now on Facebook and YouTube. So if I didn't see your comment earlier, I apologize. We're just kind of running, gunning, and looking for reports, anything like that. Also, if you have family in the Oklahoma City area, there is actually quite a bit of activity up to the north. In fact, I'll zoom out and just show you. We have actually a confirmed tornado near Rush Springs, and we have 4 tornado warnings. So if you're just now tuning in, we're looking at Oklahoma City real quick just to show you. If you have friends and family in these areas, there is quite a bit of tornadic activity further to the north in Oklahoma City. Potentially one south of Moore, near Newcastle, one near Dribble, one near Alex, and one near Ogwam. So that's what's going on up there. Further back into the Metroplex, we only have 1 tornado warning at this time. This one includes the communities of Chico. And just looking off to the side, this one's having trouble. It has had a funnel cloud with it reported, of course, and we're watching that very carefully. But these were not what they were earlier, and if you're tuning in with that before we booted up our live weather channel again, those were pretty concerning because they had nasty hooks with them. We'll have to see. The one in Montague County may have produced a brief tornado with it at some point, but right now, fortunately, no one has seen these things. So that's some good news. Trying to see here. All right, so excuse me. Right now, there's not a whole lot to mention, unfortunately. Still watching that hook near Chico, and this one's going to continue to basically recycle. So it may not be producing a tornado now, but like we continue to say, this one is going to be very close if it hasn't already produced brief tornadoes with it. Yeah, not a whole lot of reports coming in with this. This is kind of like the other day, so if you're tuning in with that, with our broadcast then, we didn't have a whole lot of activity reporting wise, but we did have scattered storms across the area then. Right now, just like then, we have scattered storms occurring. Not a whole lot of reports coming in with this, other than that report about 10 minutes ago that spotters saw funnel clouds with these. So this one, it's having some trouble. That's some good news, because we don't want to see a tornado be put down on a town or any sort of homes, businesses, farms, anything like that. We prefer that these are over open fields where they can't hurt anybody. So hopefully this doesn't produce anything over Chico. Right now it looks like it's starting to recycle again. There is still rotation occurring, but it's not as strong as it was just a little bit ago, and we'll show you right when those greens and reds are close to each other. Still rotation there, but it's a little bit more broad. So you still need to be in shelter in Chico. Heads up to Alvord, because you need to be watching that as it approaches your area again. This is moving very slowly. It also wouldn't surprise me if we start to see flash flood warnings issued for parts of Wise County, just as this is moving very slowly over those areas as well. So we'll continue to watch this as it moves over Wise County, and I believe that warning is in effect until 9 o'clock, and so we still have a little bit to go with it. Let's look at the velocity with that new scan coming in. Again, it's not as tight as it was earlier. It's a little bit more broad, so we're watching that very carefully. But fortunately, not seeing any sort of confirmed tornado reports at this moment. Hopefully it stays that way. Hopefully we don't see this impact any of these communities there. Let's see. Still a hook feature to this one. It's not as intense. I hate to go away from it just because it's still there. This one's going to continue to recycle, and it's not as tight as it was earlier. There's still a hook feature to it, but we're also starting to see kind of to the north and west of this. Let's see, some strong winds up there as well. So right now, even our rotation tool that we're looking off to the side, that one's not looking as strong as it was earlier, so that's some good news there. Still, please remain in shelter in Chico until the storm has passed. Heads up to Alvord. This is going to be coming close to that area here shortly. This one looks like it's taking almost more of a northeasterly turn. I'm going to put it into motion here real quick and just see. Yeah, so this one's moving east-northeast here at about 15 to 20. And it looks like that hook is starting to basically occlude itself once again. So we'll have to be watching. There could be a new mesocyclone if this one kind of occludes into the storm fully. But right now, not a whole lot to go on about it. Still a rotation within this over Chico. And we're still watching, of course, that hook feature with this. Tornado could still be imminent just because we have had reports of funnel clouds off and on with this. Fortunately, no confirmed tornadoes. But, again, Storm Chasers also reported 1-inch hail with this storm. So quarter-sized hail could be occurring as well. But right now, just not a whole lot to talk about with this. But we're definitely keeping a close eye on this. Okay, so we're just looking over a few things here. New strong thunderstorm. This is going to be what they used to call significant weather advisory. This one's for Palo Pinto County. 40 mile per hour winds and about 0.75 inch hail. That one could be severe over the next 30 minutes if it strengthens anymore. Radar looks to be approaching close to quarter size. Not quite there, but that one's something to be watching there as well. So, not a whole lot to say with this. We're not getting any sort of reports or anything out of that, but again, we're going to be watching this one over the next little bit. We're going to go ahead and take a quick break. We'll put this into our loop over the next little bit. If anything changes, we'll let you know. This warning goes in effect until 9 o'clock, but we're also looking at some chasers that are showing that this base is not as surfaced as it was just a little bit ago, so that might be why we're not seeing this. Surface-based storms are what you need in order for a tornado to occur. Usually elevated storms are what typically is what you see with hail producers. And so we're watching that very carefully. We're keeping a close eye on this behind the scenes, so tune in for updates. If anything else happens, we'll let you know. We're going to take a quick little break and throw this into our live Weather Channel loop. So thank you for tuning into this update. Stay tuned for more. Today is a Weather 225 Severe Weather Alert Day. What does that mean? That means that there is a severe weather threat in the DFW Metroplex today. Make sure that you stay weather alert, have ways to receive alerts, know what to do in the event of a warning for your area, and of course, stay tuned to the free Weather 225 mobile app and live weather channel. Whether it's sunny, stormy, or snowy in North Texas, be sure to download our free Weather 225 mobile app.
Sunshine, you are the ocean to me. You are the sunshine.